It's interesting to watch everything unfold as our industry of real estate goes through all these challenges, and I'll say NAR challenges, and then people will be able to reference what I'm talking about. It's nothing new for our industry to go through major swings. I've been doing this for over 26 years, and I've seen some really, really big swings take place. But we don't have to throw blame. We don't have to say NAR did this. We don't have to say the industry did this. We don't have to blame MLS. We don't have to blame anybody for anything. All we have to do to survive in this industry is to change. You see, the only thing consistent in life is change. Things will always change all the time. Some changes you don't even realize. Some of them are pretty strong. What's happening right now in the real estate industry, it's a pretty good shift. But the people that are agile, the people that can think on their feet, they're the ones are going to be successful in this. Quite honestly, every time there's a swing and we lose a bunch of people, I'm going to say in the back of my mind, I'm going to say that's really okay, because a lot of them shouldn't be in the business anyway, and those of you that have some experience know where I'm coming from. But those of you that are stepping in and you've made a decision to make this a career move, and those of you that have been in for a while, I'm going to say probably since COVID, if you've been in the industry that long, you already understand that you have to change. So here's my thoughts on this. If the big challenge is, oh my gosh, buyer's agents aren't going to get paid, or I have to present something differently to my buyer, and I have to ask them for money, and I have to ask them to pay me. Look, take all that out of your mind. First off, if you're going to work with buyers, it's the same conversation you have with your seller. Every time you sit with a seller and you do a listing appointment, you say, now this is how I get paid. And you discuss that. It's the same conversation with a buyer. And although it might be a little uncomfortable in the beginning, it's still the same conversation that you're going to have with your buyer that you've been having for years with these sellers. But if you're not comfortable with that, then just take your business in another direction. Focus completely on listings. Be the listing magnet in your hometown. And you don't think that's possible? I promise you, if you go to your MLS and go up and down those listings and see who's listing, you're going to find several agents that stand out, and they're the ones that only do listings. There's other people doing it. And if you're going to master something during this change. Don't worry about the buyers anymore. Don't worry about those tire kickers. Don't worry about those internet leads. Don't worry about all these companies that give you leads for buyers. Don't worry about them anymore. Step into your industry, focus completely on getting listings, and all of this buyer junk doesn't even come into play anymore. It's not even conversational for you, because you don't have to worry about it. And if by chance, if your part of the country or your brokerage allows for dual agency to take place, who knows? You might get the buyer anyway and have to have that conversation and say, just so you understand, I represent the seller. The seller is paying me, but I will carry your part of the transaction for this much of a fee. And think through that. Cover that with your brokerage and see if that's just another direction. But don't get lost in the swamp. Don't get frustrated with change. It happens all the time. I had this conversation with a real estate agent this morning, and I remember back when we had the crash, I was in 2008, back then when the banks all started to collapse, and all of a sudden everything was falling apart. Things weren't moving. Buyers had a huge advantage. They could buy houses super, super cheap. Sellers were falling apart because they were all upside down. People were giving up their houses. People were just walking away from their houses and walking away from mortgages. And there was places that had 60 and 70% of foreclosure rate. So at that point in time, a lot of real estate agents just fell out. And again, I don't have a problem with that, because some of them don't need to be in the business anyway. But what I was doing at the time, when I was very strong in production at the time, I just looked at it and said, what's happening here? What can I do to continue in the business? And what was happening is the foreclosure market became the place to be. And I learned right off the bat, how do I do short sales? How do I do foreclosures? How do I talk to the banks about getting those things? I bought properties because they were cheap, and I was able to get some rental properties. I worked with sellers on how to deal with banks, on how to get help with their mortgage and get some help. But I also worked with a ton of buyers and slipped into an investment mode and worked with people that had the money to buy the properties that were in foreclosure. I did not fall out of the business. I did not become a real estate agent to try it. I became a real estate agent as a career life choice. And if you make that decision, this swing right here, this is nothing. This is really nothing. This is nothing to worry about, nothing to cry about. It's not going to cost you any money if you think through it. But if you're one of those people that get all worked up over everything that happens, you're probably in the wrong industry. Because like I said before, the only thing that's constant is change. Change will always happen. Our industry will always change. And right now, all you have to do is change along with it. It's really not that hard. Put some thought there. If I can help you, reach out to me. Every single month, we have a couple of membership calls on a membership community I have called Real Estate Strategy Desk. We talk through some of these topics. We work with each other to try to come up with ideas and different plans to help us as real estate agents stay focused in the direction you want to go. Look it up online, realestatestrategydesk.com. And if I can help you, feel free to reach out. You have a great day.